Hello and welcome to the Virtual Cafe. I'm your host, Segilola Salami. Who's next, please?
This is Dr. Mary Wingo from on top of the Andes in Ecuador, South America.
Oh, hi, Dr. Wingo. Wait, for a second I lost my train of thought. Okay, what would you like to drink?
Oh gosh, I think what I would like is some South American cocoa with some queso, just a touch of queso y canela.
Okay, well, I'm in London. I don't think we've got South.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay, we're in London. Okay, yes. See, I would like cocoa with some cheese and cinnamon, por favor. Thank you.
That sounds better. So I've got some 100% fair trade cocoa. Or I've got the regular stuff that's got all the additives in it. Which one do you want?
I think I want the rich stuff. I'm a highfalutin, high maintenance type of gal. So yeah, give me the good stuff.
Yes, I'll do that. Unfortunately, though, some people don't like the good stuff because I think they're sort of used to the taste of the adulterated stuff with all the extra things, so they prefer it because it's sweet, not necessarily knowing that it's not actually the good stuff.
Yes,
It's the
I know.
bitterness.
We've been trained for a long time, haven't we, in the wicked ways of modernization.
Yes, yes. So tell me, what do you do, Dr. Wingo?
Oh, well, like I said, I'm sitting here on top of a mountain. Actually, it's in Cuenca, Ecuador, one of the loveliest cities on earth. It has to be one of the greatest cities on earth. And I'm here to talk to you about the human stress response. It's actually I have got a legitimate topic I want to discuss with you today.
Hmm. Okay. So, doctor, is that what you specialize in? Stress?
Well, I quit science 10 years ago. To be like a small business person, unrelated to science. But this goes back 20 years. This goes back 20 years, and I just the way things are going, in our societies and in your culture and in my old culture, I figured I needed to really get a good work out there that discusses what stress really is, so your listeners can really understand what stress really is, so they can effectively manage it in these unstable times.
Okay. So I know I read a little bit in your email when you contacted me. So now you've done some analysis, right? Was that a
Oh,
proper scientific analysis, or how did you do it?
well, this starts out like 20 years ago, and this is actually like where how I got my degree. And the reason why I was so interested in stress was that at that time it was just coming out just how strongly connected, how diseases and early deaths and disability, much of it arises from unmanaged stress. And we were just starting to understand the biology of it. And ultimately, it's really how we adapt. So we need to
Hmm.
actually go back to Darwin to get the final word with this. But it's ultimately how we adapt our bodies to whatever environment we happen to find ourselves in.
Hmm. Okay. See, I like to understand, the people who come on the, into the virtual cafe, sort of. So you started off as a doctor. What type of doctor were you?
Oh, I'm just a PhD scientist. I'm a lowly scientist from Texas.
No, no,
Yeah,
it's
no,
not. All doctors
seriously.
are good.
No,
So,
no, seriously.
what sort of PhD did you do?
Is in a human physiology with an emphasis on human stress research, human physiology.
See, now that makes more sense because the readers will be thinking, well, what kind of doctor is this? What's your background in stress? Okay, so we're making progress. So you've done your PhD, your research in stress. Okay, that's fine. So, and then you did this what, 20 years ago?
Oh, well, no, it's not that far. But my journey into investigating what the human stress response began 20 years ago. I'm not quite that
Ah.
old. It's like 2000,
I'm not blind.
2000.
No, that's fine. Okay, I think I understand now. Right. Okay. Cool. No, that's fine. Okay. So tell
It's
me
been
now.
a
So what do
long
you?
time, though.
It
Long
is.
time.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But like I said, it's not that long because some research, sometimes they take even longer, to be able to see, the long-term effect of
Oh,
certain things. Um,
thousand years or longer for some things.
yeah. Okay. No, that's fine. So now you've written a book on stress, right? So tell us about your book.
Oh, it's this little thing. Well, I mean, do you really want me to be honest?
Be honest, please.
Okay, I'll be honest. Okay, it's this little thing that is stuck in my craw because one thing I always did, I always kept up with advances in what researchers were discovering in the human stress response from and as I started putting pieces together, I've always been a big reader. No
Yeah.
matter what, I've always been, a big reader. So I always kept up, and things started sort of culminating that
Mm,
it seems like the public health realm needed to know about. Seriously,
yeah.
like oh well, this is stuff that healthcare practitioners really kind of need to adopt. This is some really important stuff. Well, I kept putting it off and I knew this was gonna take like 10 pounds of flesh. It was I was gonna be one tired puppy after doing this. So I put it off, but kept waiting for somebody smarter and more prestigious to do it. I kept
Mhm,
waiting for somebody else to do it, yet nobody else was doing it. And
mm,
as things are kind of falling apart in our societies, especially
yeah.
we have to worry about, and especially the is it NHS that you have
Yeah.
over there? It's
Yes.
just the same as the U.S. It's very strained right now, and then the populace is also very stressed and strained too because of the
Mm,
instability of everything. So you know, it was this jungle medicine. Is ultimately the damn jungle medicine
mm.
that pushed me forward and made the words literally spill from my fingertips. It was like somebody else was writing the book.
I totally get. So now, just to make sure that we're on the same page. Now, the stress that you write about, does that focus on stress on the human population as a whole, or do you focus on adults, or do you focus on children, or everybody?
Well, I'm focusing on modernized society because unfortunately, it's the modernized, more westernized societies that have the biggest problem with stress. And when I mean problem with stress, I am talking like a huge chunk out of
Yeah.
their gross domestic product. I mean, we're talking huge sinks of cost that could further destabilize, parts of our
Yeah.
institutions.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is and it was kind of weird coming down here to Ecuador. And again, I'm immersed in the society here, and I've gotten to know many different types of Ecuadorians. It's a heterogeneous culture, but one
Mm,
thing I realized they all had in common, and also the folks in Colombia and Peru, is that they don't have near the problems with stress related illness that our cultures do. And I'm like, yeah, and you go to the social clinics that you would think that would be lines and lines and lines because they are free or low cost, and you go in there and it's like a ghost town. There's hardly anybody usually in these places. Usually the doctor's waiting right for you.
yeah.
Ecuadorians aren't as sick, Colombians aren't as sick, Peruvians aren't as sick. What is going on? Well, they
Mm,
manage their stress. So what I'm talking about is mainly stress that affects us in the so-called modernized cultures, the westernized cultures.
yes. Yes. But I'm sort of what I'm asking though is, do you focus on just adults? Because modern society does affect young children as well, even the youth.
Oh no,
And
no, it's everybody. It's
right.
everybody. It's
Okay.
everybody who happens to have been indoctrinated, culturated in westernized society. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm
So
sort of,
you
because
you you
what?
al- you
No,
you
go
also
on.
see this in foreigners as well. So you have
Yes.
folks that come from various various societies that are quote unquote considered not as developed, and they don't have the problems with stress related illness, but yet they come and they adopt westernized ways, and sure enough, like clockwork,
Yeah.
they develop the heart disease, the diabetes, the mental illness at the rates that us that are in the more Anglosphere do. I mean, it's a lifestyle. It's not necessarily genetics.
Yes, no, totally. I totally get that. Because I was having this discussion with a friend that just by virtue of being alive, till you die, you have to be working. I mean, at least in the
Yeah,
in the UK, because
yeah,
one bill, you've paid one bill, you think, phew, I've survived, I've paid this bill, and then you blink, and it's like the next bill is there, and it's just this vicious cycle that's unending. Okay, so right, stress expert, tell us
you're
from.
you're no you're on to something there. See, um, okay, the big part of our problems that we have, because it's the same in the US. I mean,
Mm,
it's almost impossible to remain out of debt no matter how frugal you are. I mean, because there's always some surprise bill, medical bill, tax bill that you didn't expect. I mean, like, wow, I didn't budget for that, or I wasn't expecting that. I thought I'd paid everything. And all of a sudden you're hit with something or a lawsuit. We love to sue in the US. But basically, oh yeah. Oh my God. Coming down here to South America, they've got the same laws on the books, but
yeah,
it's that they just don't sue as much. They tend to work it out, and it usually gets worked out amicably.
yeah.
So it's again, I'm looking at the difference in cultures and the hostility and the sort of adversarial nature. But ultimately, the one main thing that affects us that is not as common in other types of cultures
Mm,
is the fact of our complexity. It's
mm,
the fact that we put too much strain and stress on the mechanisms of our frontal lobe that allow for executive function
mm,
and for rational thought. And
yeah.
so the more stress that we keep ourselves under, the higher that cortisol, the higher the chance that your body's going to go into energy conservation mode and shut down the frontal lobes, and so you're truly wacky. Then you cannot plan forward, you cannot solve your own stressful problems, and you emotionally dysregulate. That this is a big problem our cultures have because of
Mm,
just the sheer taxing and complexity and multitasking and the
mm,
overscheduling that we put on ourselves, which strains our very fragile frontal lobes.
yeah, yeah. No, because I'm actually remembering a conversation that I had with someone a long, 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 long time ago. Well, actually, not that long ago. I'm not that old either. And basically he had been divorced and loads of issues. I think the wife took the house and he was homeless and loads of things, and so he was then really, really stressed, and then he was like, oh yes, the doctor said that because he was stressed, he was then getting insulin resistant. What was it now? He was getting insulin resistance, and that in turn then led to him having diabetes, which he didn't have before,
That's
all the
right.
problems that he had in his life going on. So now, does your book cover the solution to this problem? We've uncovered. I mean, stress manifests itself in so many different ways. And so for adults, we're going to come back to children. For adults, how can they manage the effects of the stressful lifestyle?
Well, the first thing, and I don't know if we've got the time today in our coffee break, but I think I can cover it rather quickly, is
Okay.
for your listeners, for everyone out there, to understand the five major causes of stress in modernized society. Would you like
Okay.
for me to go over those?
Briefly, please.
Okay. So number one is what I just covered a second ago, the strain that modern society puts on our frontal lobes.
Mm.
Okay, so it's basically, the more complex, the more thinking, the more messing with our devices and constantly being engaged,
Yeah.
multitasking, just
Mm.
overdoing it. Okay, the higher the chance we have of shutting down parts of our rational thought and our emotional control, because ultimately what
Yes.
happens is that the mechanisms in our frontal lobe become fatigued and shut down. So
Yeah.
you understand the frontal lobe is our most is our primary stress response organ. It is what has made us successful as a
Mm.
species. And why are we successful as a species? Is because we can mitigate stress better than other animals can. We can control our environment. So
Mm.
yeah, we're overtaxing that right there. Number two is living in an unequal society. I mean, when you're the low man on the totem pole, and we probably know about that,
Mm.
um, sensitive to the ravages of the environment, because when you're a top guy, you've got more resources, you can have minions, take care of your stressful aspects of your life,
Yeah.
and you're buffeted, you're protected. But when you're at the bottom, you have the crap of everything. You have the crappiest places to live, with the crappiest jobs, the crappiest schedules, with the crappiest health care, crappiest child care,
Yeah.
and it just goes on. So you're more vulnerable
Yeah.
to the ravages of the environment. And as a result, your body is in a stressed mode to try to keep its equilibrium. And this has been
Yeah.
very well studied by the World Health Organization. And this effect is especially pronounced on men. So you have a spike in stress related illness, disability, and early death. And then this goes into number three is loss of social capital. Okay, we're just we lost our participation in civic groups, religious groups, political groups since the 1850s. Our culture has really gone down, and in the United States it's just a disaster. And we lost touch with our communities, because we get a job, we have to move, or we go to school, we have to move. That tears us apart from our community. And then since the jobs over turn over so quickly, we're not expected to keep them for life. We get laid off or whatever, then we go to another job, we go to another community. And it's a very, very destructive on the formation of social capital, of social support. And again, like being on the top of a social pyramid, when you have protection
Yeah.
from others, they protect you from the ravages of stress from the environment.
Mm.
Which leads us to number four, your
Yeah.
mind, depletion or derangement of the human biome, which is those critters that live in your gut, microorganisms that live in your gut, on your skin, and in your orifices, in your orifices. Yes, in those orifices as well. We've allowed these through our various habits that we have in modernized society to become deranged or depleted, the populations. And because
Mm.
of that, because they perform so many physiological functions, biological functions, like synthesis of vitamins, like immune signaling, endocrine signaling, cellular growth from those microorganisms that evolved with us over millions of years.
Yeah.
Well, we screwed all that up, so we've lost part of our physiological functioning, which can further explain why there's been such an increase in diabetes. I mean, it's beyond just obesity.
Mm.
So, and a lot of other illnesses, autoimmune illnesses as well. So, this is we lose our physiological function. So as a result, we go into the stress response, which keeps us adapting, and we become vulnerable to illness and injury, which leads us to number five, which is kind of related to number four, just chemical stress. So
Yeah.
the various products of hygiene industry, what we use to keep or clean our houses, what we use to create our buildings and societies, the pollution that comes from that is also a major source of physiological stress, and that also leads to many stress related illnesses and diseases. It's not all just emotional. So that's basically five. And what they need to do is understand these five categories. And it's basically simple. Just like if you're going on a diet, you might do like a food diary and keep up with your calories. Understand that stress is additive. And the more individual stressors you have, the more vulnerable. You need to treat this as a risk assessment, like you would smoking. Smoking is a stressor. You need to treat other stressors the same way you would with wearing a seatbelt or smoking. It's a risk assessment. So you go through, and each of those 5 categories, you list every single stressor that you currently have in your life. And you might have to do that with a friend, a family member, a therapist, self-help group, workshop. You might have to have help with this because you may not recognize it in yourself. Other people might. And then just eliminate every single voluntary stressor that you have the control to eliminate. That is the only thing that truly works. I mean, there is meditation, there's various other methods, but ultimately, since stress is additive, you have to subtract as many as possible, especially in the state that our societies are in right now. We don't need to be stressed when we're in when we're in this political and economic instability.
Yeah. No, I totally get you.
I think I need a cigarette.
Says the stress expert. Chemical stress? Chemical stress, anyone? Chemical stress?
Is it too early to start drinking? It's 10:30 here.
Well, it's 9 p.m. somewhere in the world.
Yeah, like in your, it's like almost 5 p.m. where you're at.
Yes, but it's 9 p.m. somewhere else, so I guess it's never.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's never too late to start drinking, even though I'm not an advocate, and technically, because there's a little human on this show, we can't actually touch any alcohol or cigarettes or anything like that. We've got to set a good example.
Yeah, no, we're just being funny. Yeah, I'm a health nut too. I know, seriously, because having too much stress, as you know, is it's the primary reason we age. I mean, that's what aging's all about. It's various stressors that we haven't been able to fully resolve, and we start aging. So yes, no cigarettes, no alcohol, no nothing until tomorrow night.
Yes.
So just kidding. No. We both lead very, very healthy lives here. We just coffee and chocolate.
Just coffee and chocolate. We have to do. Seriously, I think that if someone said to me, Segilola, choose, right, never have hot chocolates in your life again, or something else that's supposed to be amazing, I'll be like, you know what? Keep that amazing thing. Just let me have my hot chocolate and a slice or 2 of homemade bread. Okay?
I don't know. Have you ever experienced Ecuadorian men? I think I might give up the chocolate.
No comment. I am not even saying anything.
I ain't saying nothing else either. I'm not, amiga. I'm saying nothing.
I'm going to have to go and Google.
I plead the fifth. Yes,
I will go and Google it. That's all I'm gonna say. I will go and Google. Google has the answer to everything.
Oh yeah. You'll see exactly what I mean.
Oh, you know what? Why am I saying I will go and Google it? Thank God for technology, right? I mean, as much as we hate technology, it is absolutely fantastic. It's there at the tip of your fingertips whenever you want it. So, Ecuadorian.
Make sure you filter it by the images.
Yes.
Actually, if you really want the good ones, put in Colombian men. Oh my God.
Oh my
Filtered by videos and images.
Oh my God! I just died. I swear. Oh my God.
I ain't saying nothing.
I am not saying that.
Okay. Nothing, amiga.
I think the temperature in London has gone up exponentially.
That's right, damn straight.
Oh my god. Okay. Seriously. We were talking about stress. Okay, Dr. Mary, seriously, you're a distraction. We were talking, yes, what were we saying about stress? Oh my god.
Gosh,
Right.
you
So,
get women together over 30, they're worse than a bunch of sailors, let me tell you.
oh my good lord. Oh, right. I am going to close down Google.
Okay,
Google
you
is bad
better.
for your health. Okay.
Yeah, you better.
Yes, I'm closing it down now. Seriously. I am closing. I am closing. Right. Give me a second.
But can I get serious? Can I get somber here? This is, Surgeon General's warning, actually.
Sorry?
Is Yeah, let me. I'll be serious here for just a minute. It's,
Okay.
ultimately, what we're looking at is, a public health crisis, and
Yeah.
yeah, I know it's crazy, but we're looking at a public health crisis, and this happened when the Soviet Union fell as well. So this happens over and over in history, and I just don't want our culture to fall to the ravages of what the
Hmm.
citizens in the former Soviet Union, when that all became messy, and because stress is what really brought a lot of this down. This is, what really messed up the culture. What really made times really hard. It was the stress. It was the preventable stress. And again, we're going into some crazy times right now, and again, our public health systems aren't really functioning all that well, and they're not going to function even. I mean, another year, it's not going to be any better. It's probably going to be worse. And seriously, I just want our fellow compatriots, on whatever side of the pond they're on, to really, they can go to my website, marywingo.com, and get a ton of free information. I mean, this is a humanitarian project. This is
Yes.
something that not a lot of people really understand, because it's so complex. It took me 20 years, 20
Yeah.
years, and I still am I don't feel like I'm an expert. In 20 years
Yeah.
of just, probably going through 30,000 papers
Yeah.
and assimilating. And this is really, I mean, this is something I feel as a human being, I feel like I need to do. So,
Yeah.
serious off, we can go back to being crazy again.
No, 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 no. Oh, no, it's
Seriously,
definitely is important, and
yeah,
something
it
that I
really
was
is
actually,
important.
yeah, something that I was actually, I wasn't hoping to share with my audience yet, and I was hoping to sort of spring it as a nice surprise. Because again, stress, and the world is messed up, and sometimes I think, what, the world needs to just end already. Okay, like everyone keeps saying doomsday and this and that, and I think, what, the world should end already because it's just too much, right? And so what I'm
Hold on there. I'm sorry, I don't mean it. I don't mean to just be a rude American. All of us are pretty, um, as we say in Spanish, mal educado. we don't have the best, especially in Texas. I'm a Texan. We really don't have. Well, we do have some good, not very much good manners, but no, but no, seriously, I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned, and we it doesn't have to be like this, and there's a lot of really actionable information that your listeners can get for free to educate themselves.
yeah.
But ultimately, the world's not ending. It's just the Western world that's getting kind of funky. The developing world, well, they were more sustainable. They're on a lower energy, carbon footprint. So when they have a crisis, it doesn't hurt as bad. I mean, I know that there's a lot of propaganda and stuff that you read, that these just banana republic crap holes, but that's just not true. That's not,
Yeah.
society goes on pretty good because they aren't as stressed. They handle their stress. They're very serious about not getting stressed, and they're very, and this comes from the wisdom of the indigenous kind of seeping in to society at large, because ultimately everybody was indigenous before the Spanish colonization. So, but this is the wisdom of the indigenous that from, that goes back thousands of years. And yeah, you manage your stress, especially when you're in, politically unstable times, which in many parts of the world is consistent, is constant. They deal with it all the time.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's just our societies. We're going to a lower energy, lower consumptive, and it's going to be a transition, but ultimately it's for the best. It really is. Ultimately.
No, yes. I mean, obviously, when I said the world gender, I was just saying that in jest.
Oh, I know, but for the Western world, yeah, life is changing. It is changing. We have to reconfigure. Definitely.
Yeah. But I mean,
Definitely.
again, even in the developing world, I think what's possibly the problem is that there might not be as much reporting, and as much research that is available in quote unquote the developed world. And what I was trying to say before was that something that I was hoping to keep on the hush hush and then bring it out as a surprise is that in the run up to Christmas, so hopefully sometime from November, I'm actually going to be doing a 7-part, hopefully fingers crossed I can get all the guests together, a 7-part segment on child abuse.
Oh,
And
wow. Wow. That
yeah, go on.
are you going to cover complex post traumatic stress disorder?
That's
The
basically what I
complex
was trying to
that
say. That because again, sometimes the child abuse might start off, and society might not necessarily understand the impact that it's had on that child's life, and then you fast forward 20, 30 years later, and then it starts manifesting itself, and that on its own is another stress that a lot of research may not have taken account into that.
you have touched on a very important point. Have you ever heard of the adverse childhood experience, aka ACE? It's called ACE. The acronym is
No,
ACE study. Okay, this is a
no.
study that's been going on for decades. I mean, probably around, I don't know, I'm guessing around 30 years. Alan Fratelli. And what it is, it's a 10-question questionnaire that basically
Mm,
asks, as a child, were you exposed to domestic violence, to a parent with mental illness, parent that went to prison, divorce? You have 10 questions, that
mm,
sexual abuse, it's just real clear cut, straightforward. Well, and it's just 10 questions. They
yeah.
have found a stair step, which means like a 1-to-1 correlation. And because stress is additive, right? So the high score, if like 6 or 7 of those, if like say you've got like 6 out of 10, which
Yeah.
really a lot of us are pretty close to that. I mean, seriously, in modernized society with all the divorces and mental illness and,
Yeah.
especially in the US, everybody goes to jail, it seems. We've got a high prison population. The chances of somebody being traumatized, well, when you get up to 6 or 7 of those questions, then the odds of you dying, well, you're going to die, the odds of you dying are that you're going to die 20 years before everybody else. It takes 20 years. So like, you add say parental, you know, physical abuse, emotional abuse, divorce, mental illness, parents' mental illness, possibly prison, those type of questions. Well, the more you add up, the greater the stress related diseases. And this affects somebody 40, 50, 60 years down the road.
Yes.
They look at people and they've studied, and so there is a 1-to-1 direct correlation. The more stress, that the more years off your life you shave off. So this is the reason. I'm glad you brought this up. This is the reason why we really need to control stress,
Yeah.
because it is when you have something like that, especially when you're stressing a child that doesn't have a developed frontal lobe. Remember, that's our primary stress organ. Well,
Yeah.
that's not developed. It's not developed till you're in your early 20s.
Yeah.
So they are very vulnerable to stress, early childhood stress. So definitely. And then complex PTSD. See, that's, when you're not just traumatized one time, like by one rape or by like one event in the military, but when you're traumatized over and over and over
Yeah.
and you cannot process or resolve, well, that's a special condition called complex PTSD. And that requires immediate attention, because do you know how much just in the US child abuse and neglect costs. Do you know
Yeah.
how much this costs? It costs just for that alone almost $1 trillion just in the United
Wow.
States. So, and just understand that worldwide output is about 70 trillion a year. So just child abuse in the United States is taking around 1/70th of the global output in just financial costs. Just that alone, not any other stress. So you can see that getting a hold of childhood extreme stress from whatever cause, abuse, or exposure to war, or extreme poverty. Yes, this needs to be addressed immediately. Definitely,
Yes, and something that I
absolutely.
recently found out about. I mean, I've heard about it before, but it's again sort of just something that's come more in my what's the word, in my line of view. It's usually, it used to be called multiple personality disorder, but I think they've
Yep.
now recently changed it to dissociative identity disorder. And
Yes.
it's literally
Yes.
when your mind literally splits into several different personalities, because you've been through some extreme, like as extreme as you can imagine, right? That your
Yes.
one mind cannot even handle it anymore.
Oh, well,
And
let me explain to you what's going on. And this will make things a lot clearer, because this is sort of like what really victims of abuse, they don't understand why they're not getting over it. Well, this is the
yeah,
reason why. Because extreme stress, remember, it shuts down that frontal lobe, right? And
yeah,
especially if you've got a developing brain on top of that. Okay,
yes,
so it shuts it down. Um okay, so you're running on your fight or flight, your sympathetic nervous system. That's your fight or flight.
mm,
Well, it's just a bodily mechanism that starts to fatigue because you're under continual stress.
yeah,
Okay, as a child. Okay, so then what happens? You go into this alternate mode in another part of your nervous system. It's a very ancient part. It's the part that the reptiles have. It's
mm,
their primary form of processing information, and so you revert to that, and that is where that's the freeze response. So you have the
mm,
fight, flight, freeze. So
yeah,
that's your freeze, the deer in the headlight, the
yeah,
dissociation. So dissociation that's how all mental illness, it doesn't matter. So you can have multiple personality issues, that's dissociate, but you can also have it in depression, in manic depression, in flare-ups of schizophrenia, obsessive compulsive,
mm,
overeating, addiction's a type of dissociation. So this is
yeah,
the common, this is that dissociative response you brought up. It's due to extreme stress. This is why we need to avoid extreme stress. A little stress is what makes us people, right? But
yeah,
extreme stress, that's not how our ancestors lived. That's not how we're wired up. Extreme stress will cause us to go into those dissociative disorders, whatever they are.
mm, yeah.
And that is where this is where we get slow suicide as a culture, if we don't address this.
Yes, yes, no,
Are you
definitely.
ready? Are you ready for that cigarette and beer yet? Sorry, I'm sorry. I should have been happier. I should have been more positive. But no, this is the reason I wrote my book. Seriously, this is the reason why I'm here.
Yeah, I know. Because the thing is, because it's Christmas is approaching, and I'm just sort of, I think to myself, is this really the right time to, bring up such a sad, sad topic? But then I thought, well, actually, this is the best time, because parents,
Yes,
might be, celebrating and just think about all the good things, and sometimes, they might forget that, from January to November, they need to do. I'm not saying the parents don't do. It's just they just need that extra little reminder to say, hey, you know
that's
what?
right.
If there is anything, because again, I've spoken to a few people, and I've had just conversations with friends and whatnot, and sometimes children might feel that they don't. If they said to their parents whatever was going on, they may not necessarily be believed. So
Oh
it's kind of
yeah.
like, you
Oh
know
yeah.
what? Let's use this opportunity to make parents remember to say to their children, if you have any problems or if you have any issues, please feel free to tell me. Okay, don't
Oh,
worry that I will
it's
save
it's
you a
it's
life.
ideal for people because holidays bring out usually the worst in people. I mean, in a lot of families, I mean, it triggers. It's very triggering
Mm,
because and a lot of times people deal with a lot of stress related emotional and mental problems during the holidays, and so it's no better time than to manage your stress. So yes, this is a bit of a dark gray topic because this is reality, this is what's going on. But
yeah,
as we're going into the holidays, and again we have the stressors of a very uncertain political and economic future on top of that, and people are probably strapped for money on top of that, because they
yes,
aren't
yes,
certain. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's very important for parents especially to be able to manage their stress, so that they can help their children manage stress. You see what I'm saying? Because the
yes.
children will get it directly from the adults. If the adults aren't managing it, and and again, when you're a stressed adult, then you may not, like you said, listen to your child.
Yes. Yes. No, I totally get it.
we
'Cause
we need parents as unstressed as possible,
yeah,
because otherwise it's the very young, was it generation Y or whatever, is going to have a very hard go at it. You got to have your parents straight
yeah,
and manage, yeah, definitely.
yeah. So how do you think parents can, or what do you think parents can do to reduce their stress?
Well, okay, number one, go through those five major causes, okay? Because they may not understand that constantly dicking with your device, which people do. That's what they do it a lot less.
What word
In
did I
at
just
least,
hear you say? Did I just hear you use a D word?
yeah, yeah, I'm sorry, messing, fixing, dicking with the, because that's what it is. Because seriously, always jacking with their devices, gaming, all that. Well, they may think that they're relaxed constantly, but that is a very, very severe drain on your executive resources in your frontal lobe, your ability to think rationally, constantly dicking with your
Ugh,
devices. Yes.
ugh.
So yeah. So I mean, they may not realize it. They may think they're relaxing. Well, I'm just looking on Facebook, but constantly putting it down. Every time you get a beep beep, that what that does is that destroys your concentration. That makes you ADD, basically.
Hmm.
So we're synthesizing it. So it's stuff like that people are not realizing. They're not realizing that if you're eating processed food all the time, you're going to mess up your gut bacteria, which is going to
Yeah.
cause all kinds of problems, all kinds of autoimmune issues. So they might not
Hmm.
realize that what they're eating might be the reason why they have to be on steroids all the time and painkillers. I mean, or they're
Hmm.
disabled. And so what I'm trying to do is like, so what parents need to do is those five major causes, and then understand that stress is additive. And if you keep piling it on, then you are going to take it on in the kids. Your ability to think rationally, be patient, and be a parent, an effective parent, is going to be lessened. So it is very important that compassion go out for parents. We're not blaming them, but compassion and resources go out for them so they can handle their stress better
Yeah.
for their
Yeah.
children, the sake of their children. Because
Yes.
it's not the unstressed parents that end up abusing their kids. It's the
Well,
stressed parents that can't handle.
well, I again, I don't have any figures of this or any quotes, but I don't think so though, because right, there's some people who are just really really messed up upstairs. Okay,
Yes.
because I was reading something, I think it was on Facebook or somewhere, and because I think I was having a conversation with her, because this is a topic that's sort of been in my line of view recently, and sometimes it's actually the parents, right? And I know you're sort of going to say yes, it's because they're stressed, but I don't think, especially with regards to sex abuse, I don't think it is stress that makes a grown ass person abuse a child.
Oh, hold on. But what makes an abuser? Child abuse. I mean, how often do you get a pedophile that has just come from nowhere? That, okay, they grew up in Beaver's family, the Beaver Cleaver family, and mom was always there to listen, whenever you had problems, and dad always was there, to be with you on the weekend. No, these usually come from extremely dysfunctional, post-traumatic stress situations. Very rarely does an abusive person just come from a vacuum. There's usually something that culminated that person to act in a damaged way that causes further trauma to other human beings.
Do you
It
not
usually
think so?
doesn't. Oh, it's absolutely, yes, absolutely. It doesn't just, again, or then again, occasionally you might have the born psychopath. You know, but no, usually speaking, if someone's a psychopath, they come from an extremely negligent background. I mean, it usually doesn't come, but occasionally, since this is a brain part, if say the mother has poor nutrition, or is ill, or has hypoxia, low oxygen, well, these brain centers that process empathy can get damaged. So someone can be born that way too. I mean, but usually speaking, because you don't have the level of psychopaths down here in Latin America. It just isn't permitted. I mean, these people get weeded out real quick, or their parents, the families, put immense pressure on them to behave, even if they may not have empathy. So you don't have, I mean, you see it in differences of culture. This is something that's, a westernized thing that's gotten really bad in the last 50, 60 years. The lack of empathy for whatever reason, organic or culturally induced, familial. But yeah, hurt people, hurt other people.
Hmm.
Traumatized people traumatize others. That's definitely, unless again, you who have that very rare person with, like, that just isn't wired right. He just came out of occasionally you do have bad apples. That's,
Yes.
occasionally that, but usually speaking, hurt people hurt other people.
But then, don't you think though that sometimes someone would say because they've been hurt, they don't want to hurt other people?
Well, it's true unless you go into that dissociative state and you don't really realize what you're doing. Yeah, that dissociative state is responsible for every addictive behavior, every behavior that we know rationally we shouldn't do. But it's, again, we never learned how to handle stress. So we basically have exhausted our natural stress responses, and that is the freeze. We go into the freeze and we do all kinds of terrible things that we to ourselves and possibly to others. That's where all self-destructive behavior that is bad for you, but you feel such a tension inside of you and you can't stop yourself. You don't have the frontal lobe mechanisms because it's been so stressed to stop you. So yeah, that's people usually are not in their rational minds when they're abusing.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
That
they're
is very,
usually
very scary.
usually they don't realize. Usually they don't realize how bad they're coming off, how loud they're being, you know how hard they're hitting. Usually they don't realize it. It's a lack of awareness.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So abused people, if they don't, take care of themselves, they're at risk of abusing others. I mean, this is how the cycle of abuse, it goes down through families, through generations.
Okay. Well, this is a very sad topic, and I'm sure we didn't start off the day thinking we were going to end up on this sad, sad, and very, very scary note.
but but you know what? It is good information, and we could still have that cigarette and beer.
Yes, I think I need one, even though I've never smoked a day in my life.
I
I think I need.
know. Is it too late to start drinking? No, I just
Well,
no,
it's almost it's 5 o'clock here now.
yes.
No, it's not too late, and like I said, I'm sure it's it's like midnight somewhere, so it's never too late to start.
Yeah, well, I think we have to go over to China for that.
Yeah, you just need to dial someone's number in China, be like, oh hey, 9 o'clock, yeah, let's start drinking.
Are you having a party? Let's party.
Yes. Okay. Well, I hope you'll come. When I'm organizing the 7-part series, and you will come up with some
Absolutely.
solutions. Okay. Right. I don't want us to always end up in a
Absolutely.
sad note. I want some solutions. So that's your homework from me now. Solution, solution, solution. That's what I want.
Yes.
Does that sound like a plan?
Yes. Sounds like a plan. And just bring me back, and we will talk at any angle of stress, at any angle that you want, in any depth that you
Okay.
want. Yes.
Okay. That's fine. Thank you very much. We've had loads of fun. Actually, no, scratch that. It was not fun. It was really horrible and depressing, and talking about abuse and whatnot. Um,
I should I go play in the highway?
okay, I'm not even sure. I was trying to think of something really witty to say to Dad, but I'm just going to shush.
No, actually, it's been a wonderful show, and we've touched on some very, very good topics, some very important topics for your listeners.
Yes, because again, the year is coming to an end. We all
Yes.
forget. Sometimes we forget about stuff, and I think it's just important to just be reminded that, you know what, the world is not all black and white, and it's not filled with rainbows and sunshine. Um, and if we can do so, that I hope that my job would be done if one person listens to the show, especially this 7-part series that I'm going to do, and takes something away from it and does something with it. Even if it's just to say to a child that they know that, look, right, if you're uncomfortable about anything because of someone, just feel
Yes,
free to come. My job is feel so much fulfilled if at least one.
that's right.
Yes. So, anywho's, hopefully we'll catch you again in the virtual cafe. And sorry you didn't get your drink. The little human has literally been raiding my oven, right? Because before you came, I was roasting some chicken, and so she literally just goes and brings a piece and puts it on next to me, and I'm looking at her, and she's had it, and she's had like 4 already, and you wouldn't even know she's only 1. Well, she's going to be 2 next month. So she's almost 2, big girl, but she's like, you know what? Every single time, that I'm on the show, she just ignores. I ignore her, and so she's then found a way to get what she wants. Last week, do you know what she did? Right. So
What did she do?
before, right. So she normally knows where the ice cream is. Okay, and I have to say that this is a 1-year-old, right? So she knows where ice cream is, and I said to her, you are not allowed to have anything behind my back. If you want anything, I need to see it first, right? So before the show, she then points to the freezer, and I was like, nope, it's getting cold. No more ice cream. You can't have ice cream every single day, right? Then, when the show was about to start, I'd gotten out my headphones. I was about to press record. She literally flopped herself down and started screaming. And I was like, I know what you're doing. You're trying to manipulate me, this little human of mine, beloved little human of mine. So,
Oh, she's got you figured out.
yes, because she knows that when she sees me getting my laptop out and I've pressed, she knows what the screen for, to connect the call looks like. So I said, okay, fine, I will give in, right? Just for everyone's sanity, because I'm sure the listeners would not be particularly happy if the little human who's supposed to be getting the drinks is screaming. Right. So I said, okay, fine. You can have 1 ice cream. So it's one of those choc ice creams. You know the ones that it's ice cream in the middle, but then it's got a nice chocolate block all around it. So it's like a
Oh
chocolate block
yeah.
ice cream.
Ecuador's got the best ice cream in the world, amiga. They've got the best ice cream. Yes, yes.
Okay, well, we'll have to try those to see as well.
Oh yeah. Next time.
Yeah. So I gave her 1 ice cream, and then actually, when I put my headphones down and got up, you should have seen her dancing like she knew what she had done. Okay, she was like, "Yes, I knew it. This would work." So she was literally dancing all the way to the freezer. So I gave her
Oh,
1.
she felt the power. Let me tell you, she felt the
Yes.
power.
Okay, so whilst I was there talking, so we started the show. I was talking. Next thing, she comes to me with ice cream, another ice cream, bar in her hand. I was in the middle of talking, so I couldn't literally stop and say, please, listeners, hold on, let me go and talk to this little human because she's trying to push my buttons, right? So I looked at it, looked at her, and I was like, okay, you know what? Just two. Nothing can go wrong with that, right? I mean, if she's a little human, let her have fun. Then I was talking. Next thing I know, she comes back again with another ice cream bar, making three. I looked at her, didn't say anything. I continued talking. Chop, 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 chop. And just as we were saying our goodbyes, guess what? This little human, darling, beloved child of mine, comes back with another ice cream. 4.
Oh my gosh.
She
Oh,
manipulated me big
oh,
time.
yeah.
And then they say 1-year-olds don't know anything.
She does the same thing that my guinea pigs and cat used to do. It's definitely pet. Yeah, my pets would do the same thing. When I needed to be on the phone talking to a client, that's when they start walking all over the keyboard and scratching your leg.
Yes, just trying to just push the button. So she had 4 ice creams in that day, and I was like, yeah, that's it. No more ice cream till the end of the year. So she's been banned, and she knows she's not gonna have ice cream again. So that's why she thought, okay, you know what? Since I'm not gonna, if she knows that if she tries that, it's not gonna work. So this time she thought, I'm gonna raid mommy's oven. So yeah, so that's it.
Well,
But
it sounds like you need to put a padlock on your refrigerator to keep out burglars.
well, she's good. She's not tried the freezer thing anymore because she had I gave her the mummy look. You know that look where we were like, good enough
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
So she's had that look and she's like, yes, that can only work once. Tricks only work once. You do it the first time, you get away with it. The second time, it's not going to work again. So she's removed her mind from ice cream. No more, she's not allowed to go anywhere near the freezer. She doesn't even think about it. So she's like, yeah, let's go raid the oven this time around. But you know what, Dr. Mary, it's been absolutely fantastic having you on the show.
Yes. Yes.
And I will go and act like I'm going to delete the history of Colombian men from my browser. That's what I'm
Yeah,
going to
yes, you better do that because yeah, you want to keep focus going into
Yes,
Friday night.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm going to go. That's what I'm going to attempt to do now. I'm not going to look at it. I will keep my eyes shut and I will just delete it from my browser history, Colombian man. That's it. Okay? So fingers crossed, we'll have you on the show again and you can give us some positive news on how we can deal with all the stress in our lives.
Absolutely. You have a wonderful evening, amiga.
Thank you very much, and you too as well.
Thank you.
Okay then, bye now.
Bye-bye.